Okay, hello again. I believe this will be part 2 of my introduction to the Christianity series. Towards Christ. My redo of the Christianity series and secularism. I was building up my argument for the supremacy of Christianity through the history of Christianity. But I've also realized a couple of things that I probably ought to clarify. One, why am I talking about symbolic order? What's up with that? I mean, some of my viewers will be friends of mine who know exactly what I'm talking about, probably. But that's probably all who have ever watched this. But I'll clarify anyway. What is a symbolic order, and why is it important? So, a symbolic order is something deeper than a analytical, articulated, propositional belief. You know, I believe X, Y, and Z facts about the world. That doesn't speak to how you are embodied in the world. It isn't participatory. It isn't perspectival. It can be propositional, and it can be what's the word? In a line, procedural, but it's not participatory or perspectival. So, what am I talking about then? A symbolic order is a way of seeing the world, the entire world, at a go, instantly. It's imagistic. It sees all the relationships of whatever nodes or facts you might believe in. In fact, it's not even really concerned about the facts, although a good symbolic order does not necessarily contradict the facts. It exists aside from them. I wouldn't think you would want one that is full of propaganda is the wrong word. I hate it when I forget this word. I always forget it. Falsehoods. I'll just say falsehoods. And so, your symbolic order, gosh, how do I just talk about symbolic order? Jeez. I didn't prepare for that. I didn't prepare to speak about symbolic order. I probably should make a video about it. You know what? I'm going to table that. I'll talk about it later. But it's about being interconnected with your reality. It's about seeing reality. It's a paradigm. It's a way of seeing the reality such that you know how to behave in the reality. And you have the correct attitude towards the reality, because attitude is sometimes everything. Attitude is sometimes how you get through the day. And if your symbolic order says that you are nothing and life is meaningless and you were born and you die in pain and that's it, that doesn't really give you any hint as to how to order your life and how to be in the world in a fruitful, majestic, beautiful way. And you would have to either be the kind of person who can egoistically create your own reality, or you have to be able to submit yourself to a symbolic order that gives you hope and meaning. And again, I'm saying that the Bible could be literally the case. I don't believe the entirety of the Bible is literal. I believe there are many symbolisms in it. There are metaphor, and there is exaggeration, and there are things that have been summarized over time to get the essential gist of the story with as little information as possible. I think those things have happened in places, but I also tend to believe there are parts of it that are extremely accurate. Do I have evidence for that? No, it's just a part of my faith. So I openly admit I have no reason for it. Meaning evidence and logic, right? I do think I have reason for it from a symbolic perspective. So it's a different kind of truth, it's a different kind of reason, but I do believe I can make an argument for why that is still reason and still reasonable. And I get around the fact that I could be bullshitting myself, primarily, and that's a technical term. It literally is. There's an article or a whole paper written on it. So anyway, the way I get around BSing myself is that I hold my beliefs humbly. I don't hold them with certainty. And I allow myself to consider alternatives. That doesn't mean I'm going to commit to those alternatives. I have a space which I call my personal space, personal belief space, if you will, personal values. And I try to allow that personal value space, that personal symbolic order space, to be updated as it needs to be. It's extremely unlikely, being a mere human being, that I understand the Bible perfectly and I understand God perfectly, and the insights I feel like the Holy Spirit gives me, I understand perfectly. So there's no reason for me to have perfect faith in it, right? So I have faith in God, not in my beliefs, right? I'm trusting in God and I'm trying to find Him. I don't need to believe that I'm right. I just need to believe that God is right, whatever He ends up being. And so I could be BSing myself, but I'm trying to continually update my belief system so as to avoid such. Okay, moving right along. I tried to do symbolic order. I gave a caveat about faith. Now I will try, in the limited time I have left in this drive, at least get a little bit further in the issue of why is Christianity so freaking awesome. Sorry. I went in the last video from idol worship to sorry, there was a guy doing a U-turn badly in front of me. So, to Judaism, to Pharisees, or zealotry over Judaism, and now let's go to Christianity, which of course has its own version of Pharisaism and zealotry, which I'll get into later. But when Christianity emerged, what it did, I believe, is plug into Judaism, or get out of Judaism, however you want to say it, the basic idea that humanity does have to work. They do have to not do evil, but they will fail. But animal sacrifice and the priestly order that creates the correct level of holiness to the sacrifice, like that was a huge part of the Judean faith. It wasn't simply that anybody could create a sacrifice and be good to go. You had to approach through intermediaries who spent their life trying to get to know this God for themselves, who would therefore be holy enough, or would be able to lead you in the process of restoration to this Holy One, to this God, to this ultimate good. It doesn't matter if it's a real God or not. I mean, it matters to me, it does, but for the purpose of this project of Towards Christianity does not assume that Christ is real. It only assumes that it is about choosing to believe, to commit to the idea that there is a superior symbolic order within Christianity. That's perhaps the best way I can say it. So it is not about saying God exists, Christ exists. It is about saying that symbolic order is the most powerful one we have. And if you also believe that, now I'm saying this, if you also believe that God actually exists, I think that only enhances that symbolic order, because it allows you to truly actualize it instead of mime that you believe it. To act, instead of acting as if God exists, you're committed to acting as if God exists, or you're committed to actualizing that into every part of your being. I started to speak of my compartmentalization between the personal order and what's external. So in that personal order, personal symbolic order, I believe that Christ is God, rose from the dead, died for my sins, knew me before I was born, that kind of thing. I'm not actually going to go into particular theology in this, although I have a few constructs that I'll probably bring in eventually, because that's not what the project is. It's not about Christian theology, it's about the the Christian symbolic order. That will have symbolic aspects, but they will be humble and symbolic rather than propositional, articulated logical propositions or factual propositions. Okay, so outside of a personal symbolic sphere of belief, there are other individuals, and then what I'd really like to aim at is the commons. I think this is what humanity needs to move forward. So I even am playing with the term. So commons is that which emerges between, how do I say this? Commonality is that which emerges that a group of any size and of any level of divergence can all commonly agree on, and only includes that which they can commonly agree on. Even if they have to go from their personal sphere into that common sphere and say, okay, I can agree with you when you phrase it this way, I can't agree with it if you phrase that way. So it is kind of purely that which everyone can agree with. I realize that sounds impossible, but it doesn't have to be absolute. It only is within a group, right? So a group can get to know each other, even if they're made out of Christians, atheists, Buddhists, Muslims, whatnot, Hindus, and they can begin finding commonality. But that's another topic. I'm sorry. That's one of my favorite topics, but it's not what I'm talking about here. So then you have your other personal common spaces, right? Okay. It's important to do that because I must be clear that I am not trying to infringe on Orthodox Christianity with my project here of Towards Christ. This is a parallel project, if you will, or this is an attempt at a commonality between the various sects of Christianity and even those who honor and respect Christ from other faith traditions or non-faith traditions. It's a point of connection. Why? This is actually a good topic. Maybe, yes. Sorry, I started doing this, so I had to laugh evilly. So I believe, and this comes from my particular faith tradition, the Vineyard, that we are to give Christ away, and we are to give love away, and we are to give all these things that are precious away. And through a humbled paradigm of the world, where I am not believing in a certain Christianity and a certain theology, I have come to the conclusion that I can give the symbology of Christ away to non-theists and to people of other beliefs and usher them towards Christianity through giving that precious gift of the symbolic nature of Jesus away and why it's so vital. Because they can begin integrating that symbolic order into their lives. And hey, if they like the symbolic order, why not go whole hog and commit to Christianity? So yes, again, I'm trying to be a kind of apologist, only not a apologist of theology, but of symbology. Okay, I will definitely have to do a video on the symbolic order, or else none of this is going to make a whole lot of sense to people. That's fine. I will try to figure that out. Okay, you know what? I'm once again going to table the issue of the awesomeness of Christianity. There's just been a lot of things I've had to introduce, and I, in my typical random way, have been jumping from topic to topic like crazy, and hopefully that's entertaining and not distracting. And of course I'm saying this to all 2 of my viewers, and nobody even watched the first one of these, so we'll see. Thank you for your time. Bye.